Back to the border crisis, U.S. officials announcing a record-breaking drug bust in Southern California. Agents seizing nearly 3 tons of meth and fentanyl from smugglers. The estimated value, almost $13 million. Joining me now is Derek Maltz, former DEA special agent in charge. Describe for us what kind of a haul is this? And if this is the stuff that we caught, what could possibly actually have made it through?
Well, first of all, Dana, thank you for having me. This is a record-breaking seizure by the brave men and women of CBP and Border Patrol and the other agencies. Based on the best estimates, they say about 10% of the drugs are seized, so you can only imagine what's getting in. Just look at the seizure they made last September or October. There were 3,000 pounds of meth seized at the same facility with the same law enforcement people. And you just think about the amount of meth that's coming into the country. That's because the Chinese chemicals are flowing into Mexico and the lab operations are booming, off the charts. And it also shows the customers have a really serious problem in America with the demand for these type of drugs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, there obviously is a demand. I mean, and where would you put the emphasis, on the supply side or the demand side, or is that something you need to tackle at the same time?
Well, you have to attack it all at the same time, Dana. You have to have a unity of effort across the government with our professionals in the medical field as well. But what you need to do is first target the threat. The target right now is the Mexican cartels, and nobody's telling the public the truth. They're the ones that are killing our kids at record levels. They're the ones that are making billions of dollars, not only from the drug smuggling, but the migrant smuggling. If you look at the progression of the cartel's operations, it's very apparent to me, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out, that they have more money, they have more chemicals, they have an outstanding business enterprise, but it's killing our kids. And
Derek,
that's why it's frustrating.
Just to have you speak to this, because to that point, to your very point, here is this tunnel that was discovered in Mexicali. And you find these over the years, right? 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. This kind of thing is actually one of the problems that, they go undetected, they go underground in order to get these drugs into the country.
Right, Dana, this is nothing new. Chapo Guzman and the Sinaloa cartel have been making tunnels forever. I mean, look how he escaped out of prison with a tunnel. But the Border Patrol and Homeland Security and the San Diego Task Force has been very innovative and has crushed these tunnel operations. But that's only one way to get the drugs and the people into America. But they've been very proactive. They've gone after these tunnels. They have really good intelligence, and they'll continue to crush these tunnel operations. The bottom line is, though, the drugs are still getting in at record levels, and we're not even shutting down our border. We have to be honest with the public. We have a public health and a public, humanitarian crisis and a national security crisis.
Well, just this week we saw one of the deputies in San Diego, he just came into contact with fentanyl, and his partner had to deliver Narcan to him in order to save his life. What's coming up on August 27th that's going to get a little attention on this?
So, Dana, as you probably know, I've been supporting the families around America. There's thousands of families that are really upset that the government is not taking any action against this fentanyl poisoning and fentanyl murder problem. And right now, we don't have just an opioid crisis, we have fentanyl murders. So they're having a rally. The families are having a rally in front of the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. I will be one of the speakers along with a lot of the families, all right, trying to get the awareness to the country that this is something we've never seen. Just look at the statistics and the deaths from fentanyl. Look at Orange County, California. They just published the end of July. 1,067% increase in fentanyl-related deaths over a period from 2016 to 2020. That's alarming. And the public needs to be aware because their kids are vulnerable. So the cartels are the enemy of our children, and we have to get the message out.
Very interesting. Thank you. We appreciate that so much, Derek. It's a really troubling issue. And I noticed that he used the phrase fentanyl murder, which I think is a better way to describe it than overdoses. President Biden is going to see the Chinese amongst the G20 the end of October, and that meeting is happening in Europe.
End of October.
This issue has to be on the agenda.
You know, Dan, I just listened to your conversation. It's hard to even picture 2.5 tons of anything, much less 2.5 tons of meth and fentanyl. And you know where it's going? It's going to our cities, and it's going to the Midwest, and it's going to the Northeast. And man, that's a hard thing to pull back once it gets inside these communities. And these sheriff's deputies deal with it every week.
They sure do.
On the weekend, I mean, they're trying to save lives every day.
And keep themselves safe.
Yeah.